Welcome back to the channel. My name's Jesse. You're watching Crawler Kingdom, and this video is a little bit of an unexpected route order than I was thinking. I just got back from Trail Hero. The JKU did great. King Dingy, he did awesome. And so it was time to maybe start working on the CJ7. For those of you who don't know, I started going ahead and switching it over from a manual to an automatic. I picked up two used Turbo 400s to go ahead and do it. The first one, ready to go in, I hope. The second one was a backup. Just because it was available, I wanted to go and get it. Guess what? We got problems. Well, the thing you don't want to have happen just happened. I was running some bolts through because the thread was tight, and this snapped off. Here is transmission number 2. Number 1, I just went ahead and threw up in there. But before I threw it up in there, I made a crucial mistake. And that's from my ignorance. So I'm going to share it with you here. So that way you guys that aren't as dumb as me can laugh at me. And those of you that might make this mistake, don't do it. I ruined the housing. So in the back, there's these 6 holes, right? And they were kind of clogged up, junked up on the other one, which came out of an H1. It was an HD case. This one doesn't say HD, but it's got the HD back and everything in here. So, but I went and chased them through, and I chased this back one through, and I ran into this housing here, which is for the speedometer. And because I kept going, the downward pressure off the speedometer housing pushed down and cracked off the corner bolt here. Unfortunately for me, I have to go ahead and use this other housing. The reason why I need to rebuild this one, I picked it up. I went all the way to Camas, Utah to go ahead and grab it. But when I picked it up, they said it was running. But when I looked in the tail housing, I could see that bubblegum pink fluid, which means there's water in here, which means all the different friction plates need to be replaced. The reverse band, the mid band, all those things have to be taken care of because it'll separate it. Here's the table that I picked up for cheap off of our local classified that I used last time to rebuild my JKU transmission. Now, I do not rebuild transmissions, but I do, right? So this would only be my second time ever trying to go ahead and do it and tear it down. And so this is for entertainment. Most of the videos that I'm watching, that'll go ahead and give me a heads up, a lot of them are building for street rods, ones that are 1-2 shots down it. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of stock build this thing as best as I can. What I did this time is I angled my table away so that way it runs off, and now the water's running off into here, which I just crimped in there. There's a hole in here, and I'll have my bucket to catch all the trans fluid out of there. So how I have this set up, because I'm just following other videos, and how I keep track of my stuff is I go ahead and I make these bags. Shift linkage, governor cover and cover, vacuum modulator, pan bolts, filter O-ring, stuff like that, and pump bolts. Let's go ahead and start tearing down in the order that we have it, skipping the shift linkage, which means we're going to go ahead and get to the governor plate and governor. Then we'll get to that vacuum modulator. And these are all 1/2-inch bolts there. When you get onto the pump, it's 9/16, and on the inside, there's some 7/16 and 1/2-inch bolts there. For those, looks like that's not on very tight. This just pulls out. This is your governor. And see how we got some rusting on there a little bit? Look at these a little bit tighter. That looks all right, but will have to be polished up. The bolt. So here comes the modulator. Let's go ahead and throw this stuff in here. Okay, there we go. It's got a spring. The O-ring did stay on the modulator, so I'm going to have to pull that out. There comes the fluid. See, there's a little bit of strawberry in there. Take this off. Okay, so on the inside of the pan, see a little bit of that strawberry? That's water. This filter Looks like it's the long pickup tube filter on here. This is not supposed to be tight. It's supposed to move around. Let's go ahead and pull that filter bolt out. Spacer on there. This. Just pull on out. This one's got the cotton filter, which is good. Let's go ahead and pull this seal off. Magnet's not covered with anything too much, really. So let's go ahead and put this filler tube off. Single O-ring on here. A lot of the channels that I watch say to put 2. Let's take a look at the inside. So honestly, the inside of this thing looks quite clean, not all mucked up. So it must have gotten just a little bit of water in it. Almost all these bolts are 1/2 inch. There's 3 that are 7/16, and they're these smaller head ones. 1, 2, 3. Before I go ahead and pull those, let's take this detent solenoid off on here. So it just pulls off right here off of that pin. And there's these 2 bolts, which look like they're probably 7/16. Yeah, those 2 bolts on the detent are 3/8. So you'll need that as well. All right, here we go. Let's get back to the 1/2 inch. Okay, and I'm not seeing a bolt that was in there. Am I missing one? You know what that was? That was the filter bolt. That's what that is. So that's for the filter. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the 8th, which also has the parking pawl on it. And they're all the exact same size.
Oh, you're recording.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of want to make an
Uh-oh. Wife caught me out
Did I
here
get in
working.
there?
Oh, yeah, you're in.
Can I kiss your face?
Oh,
I love you.
yeah, that's how you keep working on your Jeeps, boys. Get kisses. Okay, so we got 3 of these babies. 1, 2, 3, all the same size. All right, and we need to lift out on these a little bit. Get that valve back in there. And then that should come right off. Okay, there's my valve body. It's on there. This will have to come apart in another moment. Then you got this front solenoid front servo with the spring in there. And then here's my separator plate. Okay, separator plate's in good condition. Let's go ahead and get that put in its bag. It's got a little bit of rusting, barely. Now let's go ahead and take this gasket off. There we go. Gasket looks nice. Obviously we'll be replacing that. And here is where we got all the check balls. So it appears I have one right here and right here. This thing's been rebuilt before because I think there's supposed to be like 6. So I might have to go ahead and get some other check valves out of the other one depending upon what's needed. But I think sometimes you only run 2 or 3. And then this is the last screw that needs to go, which is why I went and picked up a 3/8 via 12 to fit it in here. And luckily, this one feels like it fits in there just fine. Got 1, 2. Make sure I'm not missing any others. These down. There we go. Bit of torque on them. Okay. A little bit of a spring out here. There's our cover. It's got a little bit of metal in there. There's our filter plate. There we go. That one's stiff as a board, which is great. We got some muck in here. Let's pull this out. And then the spring as well. Now I've seen quite a few people do this where there's this nail pin and they'll bend it up because they'll take this park linkage out. The one I was watching said you don't need to go ahead and do that. And then while I'm in here, I'm gonna go ahead and take this out. You take an 11/16 end wrench and I guess go ahead and wiggle it out. So let's first get this 3/8 bolt out of here real quick. There we go. And this one's a lubricating bolt, I think, if I remember right, because there's a through hole in it. So it goes all the way through, so I definitely can't lose that one. Word on the street is that you can put this 11/16. Oh, that just shattered to pieces. Okay. We'll have to order a new one of those. That was a brittle, bro. Okay. That's why you take it apart before you order parts, I guess. Let's go ahead and pull that out. I forget what this thing's called. I'll have to look it up because I got to order one, obviously, now, if it's that brittle. Oh, there we go. Comes with an O-ring on there. Let's go ahead and take the seal out while we're here. It's still together. About out. There we go. Deuces. There's no sealing on that. I'm assuming there should be. Okay, there's at least a washer. There's like a little double washer, a little baby washer right here. And then there's another one on the pump. So word on the street is you can shove this back here. Give the pump a little bit of finesse. Oh yeah. There we go. And then your pump will come out. Oh, come on, get out of there. Okay. There's my pump. I'm going to get the names of these things wrong. I'm going to call them as best as I understand them. So this would be my forward drum. That'll come right out. You can hear the clutches kind of kicking in and out of there. So this looks like it might be brand new. We'll have a look at this thing. So there's my forward drum. And here's the direct drum. Let's see if I can wiggle it on out of there. My direct drum. What's in here? Again, these all have 6s. So I wonder if they rebuilt this thing. Because these clutches, I'll still get new clutches in here. But so there's my direct drum, which has this spring side out. And this back one way facing the rear. Here's the sun gear on it with the single end facing out. There's bushings and stuff in here that need to be inspected on both ends. We'll have a look at this. I'll have to watch some videos to see what makes it good, what makes it not. There's a band right in here as well that's sitting in there, and there's a pin. Point at it and see if we can get it right here. It's got a spot for it to notch in, and all you got to do is get that out. So installed like this, not like this, like this, where it has room for it here. Then we have the intermediate clutches, there's a snap ring in here, and all I did is I tried to do the cool thing that they show in all these videos, and I cut a little notch in this big old Harbor Freight screwdriver. We'll see if it's about it. See if that helps me at all. Maybe a little bit. I still had to use my hands. Okay. Looks like there's no right way for this intermediate clutch snap ring on there. Let's go ahead and pull that intermediary out. Okay, we got all of them here. So there's the larger one that's got, I don't know if we can, let me get on the camera and see. It's got a bevel facing towards the front of the transmission and fully flat on the back side. These are brand new. Somebody rebuilt this and did something wrong with it. And there's your steels. So it looks like we got 3 friction plates and 3 steels plus this forward. Now we have the center support, which has got an even bigger snap ring in it, I guess. So there we go. Now in one of the videos, it said there was a bevel. Okay, there is. So you can't, the beveled edge is it's a little bit rounded. So it's flat on this side, which was back. And the bevel side, which is just on this outside edge right here, you can kind of see it where it's shiny to dark. That was facing towards the front. I'm gonna have to double check and make sure that's right. But that's the center support snap ring. Should be able to take out. Okay, so here's the center support on this. And I think this is where that bolt, that through bolt, goes into. Let's see if we can get the front planetary out. Ah, there we go. Look at the wear on that thing. So we got a plastic in the back that's on that. Oop, dripping. Now, this was on here, which it keys in, so this goes down into, faces down under there, and then this slides onto that. So here it is together. If it would have came out together on here, the plastic on there. Let's go ahead and grab this outlet shaft. Let's see if the rest will come out. Okay. There's the rest of it coming out. Rear set, and it's got one of these copper space thrusts or whatever it's called back here. It's got some wear on that. I might need a new one of those. There's some heat markings on this rear drum. There's, I believe this is sun gear or whatever they call it on there. Let's go ahead and set this down in here. And then the last thing we have is this reverse band. Is there another snap? There's another snap ring in here. I don't know what that's doing there for. I don't know how I missed that. Came out without it. So that might supposed to have been the most rear. No direct way in which that's going. That was all the way up against this flat deck in here. So there's a spot right in front of the band that's flat. And that was up right in front of that. So I'm going to put that with the third. And then there's this last band, which got, again, it's got a dot where it goes in. It's a reverse band, I believe. You can go ahead and pull it out. Bolts are, there we go. You can pull it out. See, there's rusting on there. So it came out like that with these 2 notches. There's 2 dots back in there, and then this one fitting in between it. So that's what compresses that reverse. And then there's an additional spacer, like type washer, that needs some love. Had the beveled tips facing back. That was in there, just fits in the very back of this right here. And that's probably to go ahead and give you your rear end play on that. There we go. We have broken down this transmission as far as emptying it out and getting everything out of there. Got to clean it up, clean up a little bit of the rough spots, check on the rear bushings and stuff like that, clean out everything, and then order the parts that we need. And then we can go ahead and start putting this thing back together. I'll take down each part. So this breather tube was broke, so I'm going to go ahead and get a new breather tube. So that way we can get a breather on this transmission. But there you go. There's the end of breaking it down and just tearing it apart and getting all the drums and everything out of there. I'm going to break them down piece by piece and record that as well, so that way I have track of what it was that I did. This is for me, so that way when I go back, I can make sure that I'm not skipping a step, forgetting something. I do have the service manual, so I'll be following torque specs and different stuff like that. But at least we've now broken it down one step closer to going ahead and getting this thing rebuilt, see what parts we need, and move forward. Thanks for watching, guys.